Welcome back, you gorgeous weirdos. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm so glad you're here. If you're new here, welcome. Hi, I'm Marlakris. So I am going to be doing press-ons today, but we're going to do them with dip powder. I got a couple of new colors from Gelish and from OPI. Beyond Polish was kind enough to send them over to me to play around with. I haven't used dip powders in a whole hot minute. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to take these two colors. One is from Gelish, one is from OPI. And we're going to do a subtle little sunset ombre moment. I love the way this came out, y'all. If you already saw the thumbnail, you know what we're doing. If not, I don't understand how you got here, but that's what we're going to do today. We're going to keep the matte, add some gem accents later. It's going to be a whole moment. Let's get into it. So this is the first color, this gorgeous like peachy moment. And then we got this kind of pastel yellow color, and I figured it would blend so well together. That I find is key when you're doing an ombre with anything, with gel polish, with dip powder, with acrylic, anything really. If the colors are closely related, they're going to ombre nicely. So we're going to do this with the gel method. You can do this with dip liquids if you want to. I'll leave a video up in the eye if you want to see how I do an ombre with dip liquids. Make sure you're including your pets in all of your manicures. They need to have a special place there. Anyways, I'm doing a thin coat of gel base all over the entire nail. Once I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and flash cure for about 15 seconds. Typically, gel base coat needs 30 seconds to cure. I'm only going to do half a cure because we're going to kind of stamp on the acrylic over that semi-cured gel. I'm going to do that with an eyeshadow brush. This one's from Alice in Wonderland X Wet n Wild, I think. I don't know. I usually use the Wet n Wild ones. I love them for this kind of look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the first color. I'm kind of going to work that pigment into the brush a little bit. Then once I have the pigment in there, I'm just going to stamp it right on half of the nail. Now I'm concentrating this mostly on the side wall, which will be the edge on the side, on the right side. And I'm going to kind of feather it in just a little bit in the center. And that's going to create a really seamless, well-blended ombre. These damn cats have to be a part of everything. Anyways, stamping that on. Once I have that color on, I'm going to tap off any of the excess. And then we're going to move on to the yellow. Same exact thing for the yellow. I'm going to use a different eyeshadow brush. Usually I'll clean my brushes off in between, but because these are touching gel product, I'm going to have to do a deep clean on my brushes afterwards. So I figured I'm just going to use two brushes so I don't contaminate anything. So I'm going to grab another eyeshadow brush. This one is also from Wet n Wild. They're on Amazon. They're like 80 cents. They'll be linked down below. Everything will be linked down below. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp on that second color. Once I get the second color completely on that second half of the nail, I'm going to tap off any excess. I'm not dusting anything yet because we want to finish the cure. Remember, we only flash cured for 15 seconds, so I'm going to pop this in the lamp for another 15. That's a total of 30 seconds, so that gel will be completely cured, and then we can brush off excess and go in with the second coat. Now, I do 3 total coats of this ombre, and the reason is because this is a very thin application. This is not going to be thick or bulky, but that also means the colors are going to be a little bit more on the sheer side, and that's okay. I don't mind doing 3 coats because it's not going to add bulk to the nail. As you will see later when I have them on my hands and I show you all the things, I will show you the thickness at the cuticle, at the free edge. I'm going to show you everything. I don't keep secrets from y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and get that base coat on the nail again, applied in a thin, even layer. Flash cure for 15 seconds, and then we're going to go in with the same exact thing we did before, just pressing in that pigment right into that semi-cured gel base coat. Same side. Make sure you know which side you're doing because I have issues with this stuff. I'm like always second guessing myself, what side did I do what color on? Especially because in the first coat, it looks super duper sheer, so it can be a little complicated, confusing, but this is one of those nail techniques that for me is not stressful. There are nail designs that stress me the heck out. I don't breathe while I'm doing it, but this is not that case. This is one of those manicures that I genuinely loved doing. It was very relaxing for me. Even the dipping of the other nails, I'll show you that later on too. I'll show you the gemstones. The gem work was so much fun to do. This whole set just brings me so much joy. I don't know if it's a combination of the actual techniques, or I'm using dip powder again, or the colors. This yellow is just so bright and cheery and happy. It was giving me like sunrise vibes. Sunrise, definitely more sunrise. Sunset, there's more of the pinks and the purples, at least where I'm at in South Florida. But this was sunsetty, and it just made me smile so much. So once I had that second coat done, I'm going to go ahead and finish that cure for another 15 seconds before I dust off excess and go in for the last coat, which is coat number 3. I'm going to let you watch this coat without me yapping, because I know my yapping can be a little distracting. I yap a lot. I know, you don't need to tell me. And then I'm going to show you how to intensify that orange just a little bit before we move on to the solid nail. Okay, so now I'm taking that same fluffy brush that I used the orange, and I'm picking up some of that pigment and I'm scrubbing that into, now that this is completely cured. And all this is going to do is deepen up that pigment a little bit. This will work with any of the darker shades, because you're usually using one lighter shade, one darker shade, right? In my mind, at least. The deeper shades, you'll have a really easy time scrubbing that pigment in. I don't need to do it on the yellow side. I wanted that to be lighter just to make that contrast a little bit deeper. I said deeper. Anyway, yes, I'm a 12-year-old. I'm going to continue deepening that orange as much as I like it. I'm going to dust off excess, and then we're kind of done with this nail. I know I've had a lot of questions in the recent past about how to encapsulate something like this because we're using gel liquids. I stay far away from clear acrylic and clear dip powder when I'm using gel liquids to do this application. I just find that clear dip powder doesn't play very well with clear gel. It can look very speckly, bubbly, grainy, and that is not the look I'm going for. If it is, I mean, YOLO, but I'm not trying to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to encapsulate with gel. I'm doing a coat of gel base coat. I'll cure for 30 seconds, and I'm going to follow up with a coat of gel top coat, and I'll cure this for 60 seconds, and that nail can be done. If it is perfect and flawless and exactly as you always picture it in your mind, be done. You can be completely finished. But for me, because I'm a little perfectionist and I'm a little neurotic, I'm going to go ahead and do filing and buffing. I'll show you a little bit of that later too. I know, for a 15-minute video, I am including all the things. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, cure the top coat for 60 seconds, and then I'm going to show you how to do just basic dip powder with the gel method on a press-on. So here is what we are looking like so far. We have one nail done. How long did that take? This does take a little bit of time, but you'll see in the end it's totally worth it. So for regular dipping, I'm just going to apply another very thin coat. I'm keeping this very thin. I don't want my gel to be thick, goopy, running all over the place. Super duper thin layers of the gel. I'm going to cover the entire nail from cuticle to free edge, and I'm going to very gently, with this lightest touch, gentle hand, lay it into that dip powder. You can pour over if you prefer, but I do not suggest dip. If you're doing your natural nails, do not dip in. Don't dip it in, lay it flat or pour over. I cured it for a full minute, and now I'm going in with coat number 2. Same exact thing that I just did. I'm just doing it a second time. If you wind up dipping your finger into the jar and you're using gel liquids, the gel can move and displace and kind of bunch up on you. It can happen also with dip liquids if you apply it a little bit too thick. So whichever way you're doing this, keep your liquids thin. Just have a gentle hand. Don't go shoving your fingers into things and stuff. Be gentle is all I'm saying. So I'm going to finish up this, and then I'm going to do the same thing I did for the ombre nail, where I encapsulate with gel base and gel top coat. And then I'm going to show you how to do a little bit of filing. Okay, so let's clean this nail up a little bit. I always start by cleaning up the underside of the sides, just to make sure there's nothing hanging over the edge that's going to be looking strange on the nail. So I'm taking a file. It's a 100-180 grit. I'm taking the 180 side. I don't like to use a strong file when applications are this thin, because this is not a thick overlay. It's very thin. So gentle file, and I'm just going to clean up underneath. Then I'm going to clean up my sides. Make sure they're completely straight. Make sure that they are even and even on both sides. And then I'm going to do the cuticle area. I'm going to make sure that's rounded out. Basically, I'm just making sure that product is not hanging over in one spot or another. The entire perimeter of the nail, I'm doing this too. Clean up that cuticle line. Then I'll go ahead and square off the free edge. If you need to do more filing, if things got a little crazy, and you went shoving your fingers into things and stuff, you can file the surface of this and it's completely fine. Because the application was pretty smooth on my end, I'm just going to finish up the perimeter of the nail, getting everything nice and even and even. And then I'm going to take my buffing block and I'm going to go over the entire surface of the nail, and again around those perimeters, to make sure I have no sharp edges or anything like that. So I'm going to give everything a final buff. I'll show you what the whole set looks like to this point, and then we'll do a little gem placement together. Okay, let's do some gems. Now, I went ahead and I already laid out the gem design that I want. I know I mentioned this in a previous video, but I find for me, it's so important. I'm putting down matte gel top coat, by the way. I want to keep this matte, but I need top coat to adhere the gemstones. So matte gel top coat. You can use glossy if you're doing glossy nails. I like to lay all my stuff out ahead of time. That way I don't second guess myself when I go to put things where they belong. I know exactly where everything is going. That way I'm not chasing stones around the nail, because over time, you know, the top coat is a little slippery and things are going to move. This whole video is an innuendo. Anyways, I lay out the gems and then I'll put them on the nail in that little formation. And once I have all the gems down exactly where I want them, you'll see me turn the nail here and there to make sure it's completely centered. Is it perfect? Probably not, but perfection isn't real. It's just an illusion. It doesn't exist. Once I have all the gems positioned good enough for me, I'm going to go ahead and throw this in the lamp for 60 seconds. And then this manicure will be done and you'll see them on my hand. so this is the finished look. I could not be more obsessed. I love the way the ombre came out. It's so perfectly blended. The gemstones are the perfect little accent. I cut this matte. I wanted to really let the gemstones be the star of the show and that ombre. And I felt like the glossy would kind of cover that up a little bit. So I kept it matte, but you can do whatever you want. You want glossy, do glossy. Here's what they look like on the hand. I am literally in love. In love. You guys will have to let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for spending some of your day with me today. I hope the rest of your day is as beautiful as you are. And I will catch you in the next one. Love you. Bye.